You need a second, or can I want me to roll right into it?
Give me 2 puffs and roll.
Heard.
And when I say 2 puffs, I mean 3 puffs.
Yeah. Welcome to the Trash Cats Trashcast. I'm Richard.
I'm Steven.
And I don't know about y'all, but I'm tired as fuck.
I was about to say we're sleepy boys today. We considered just starting the recording and taking a nap.
Yeah. You know, that's a new kind of ASMR podcast where you just get to listen to the background noise of someone else's house while they snore.
Bro, I actually was going to record some like B-roll sound of my backyard. Dude.
My boy's doing Foley work.
Dude, it's a full Amazon jungle minus the howler monkeys. In our last recording, I had to edit out all the frogs. There's like frogs,
that's
cicadas.
fucking cool.
There's like a whole like bird sanctuary growing back there. It is loud enough that you have to turn the TV up in the house because of all the frogs and cicadas. It's the pig fortress. Remember the Puerto Rico? Dude, there's like 6 trees that are all like, they're like 6 foot across trees, right? The Puerto Ricans went into our backyard and they cut down all these trees and they built pigsties, and then they wrapped all the trees in barbed wire fence without the poles. So it looks like a weed op, but you they layered all the tree branches over it, and if you pull up some branches, you can get to the fence and you can crawl into the pigsty area, and all the pigs are gone. They moved out, but it's probably a 50 by 50 yard area of fenced in.
Jesus Christ,
dude! They had a whole operation. When I know everyone thought I was full of shit, but they had a 200-pound pig run into traffic and hit a car while we were here, and the pig damaged the car more than the car damaged the pig. I mean, they were doing...
That's insane.
They were cockfighting. They were sledgehammering the pigs when they wanted a big barbecue. It was gnarly, dude. And they had the bobcat diggers. They would just like terraform our yards when they were bored. Like literally,
just fuck around and find out.
My homie, he would just get drunk. He'd be drinking tequila in his bobcat, just moving the landscape. And he dug a whole pond area in, and they put a bunch of frogs for the chickens, I guess. And now, since they've moved out, the frog population has dominated our backyards. And I'm telling you, dude, it's like 100 frogs croaking at a time.
Just bringing out invasive species.
Dude, there were pigs, frogs, cicadas. We have those Chinese lizards. It's like a whole thing in our backyard in the summer. They had over 35 chickens. And we're in the city, dude. 35 chickens?
You are not in an area where there need to be 35 chickens. You could, honestly, I'm trying to think of the number in my head where it's like, if you said they had 12 chickens, I would be like, that's kind of a lot. But like, you know, whatever, that's a dozen eggs, you know, that's whatever. I don't know how much they're using them for and what they're doing. That's great. That's cool though. 35 is way too many.
I bet they were popping out 100 eggs a day. No problem.
Like 35 is 2 dozen too many.
When they moved out, I believe they were evicted, possibly because of ice. But
oh, Jesus,
when they left, you could do like tours of the house, right? Somebody wanted to buy. It was like destroyed.
Jesus,
but
Christ.
There were all the cages in the basement from the cockfighting where they train up the birds.
Hey man, that's included. That's a deal.
But can you imagine showing off a house when you know you have all these cages in the basement?
Yeah, that's pretty fucked. That's really fucked.
Just no one gives a shit. It's like, whatever, dude. It's Price Hill. Cages in the basement, no problem.
I think I told you the time I went into, it was a bando. I went in with an old coworker. We were looking for a cat that got lost. And we passed a bando that had like an open door that was like right down the street from our house. And we're like, I mean, it's possible. So we're like peeking in. It's like, fucking middle of the night, of course. And we got like flashlights. And I do what I think is the considerate thing. If someone's staying in a band, if someone's sleeping in a bando or whatever, is I just yell like, hey, we're looking for a cat. We're not trying to bother people. We're not trying to fuck with people. Like, we're just looking for a cat. If you're here, can you say something? And no one said anything. So we're like walking through the house and, we like search the whole upstairs. It's a 2-family situation, like a duplex or whatever. And then we get to the point where we're like, okay, the only place we didn't check is in the basement. So we go down to the basement and
you're just living on the edge, huh?
dude, we fucking opened up this door to the basement and it was like, a fucking horror movie. It was in the worst way of like, it's all dilapidated and shit. And we're like,
all the chains were clinking in the wind.
Yeah, dude, it was, we get down there and we're looking around and we turn the corner and there's like a chain link fenced area inside of the basement.
Oh, yeah.
Where we're like, there's a cage, like a large area,
a human shaped
like,
cage.
Yeah, exactly. Like a jail cell ish cage down here. And of course, I wasn't thinking this at the time, but of course it's like, okay, this is probably for like, each
inner
person
city fetish play.
Yeah. Like, this is for people to have like their own like separate storage areas. You can store shit down here and like lock it up and whatever.
Yeah,
but, like, or you can put a person in here and lock them down here in this fucking chain link fenced off area. But that was terrifying. It was like, okay, we're going through this house and it's creepy and it's like, okay, but whatever. It's not that big of a deal. Like doesn't seem to be anybody here. And we turn around, there's a chain link fenced in area in the basement. We're like, all right, this is fucked. We need to leave.
Super classy. Just a little advice. Next time you're breaking into bandos, if you have a vest, that's ideal. A little reflective. But if not,
I did.
Ooh, yell in. You're with the city. Building check with the city. Just yell that shit because they won't fuck with you.
Okay, that sounds like a trap.
Unless there's a cop in there. If there's just like junkies, they'll leave you alone.
Okay, well that's good to know.
Checking the pipes. Pipe checker.
Yeah. Y'all got pipes? You guys need pipes?
City pipe check. Well, speaking of all these animals we've mentioned, God, that was a bad transition. I just want to run you through this because I had this thought the other day that I don't want to give myself too much credit. But I can easily say it's the funniest thought I've had in a while to myself. Where I've been thinking about it for 2 weeks. Unrelated, I still have that punchline to a joke of our next episode that I've had in my head for 6 months now that I can't wait to say. And you'll know it when you hear it. But all right, you love your pets, right?
Of course.
Now, imagine your lovely pet dies, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you're familiar. Now, the future of pet cloning has come so far. Have you seen how many people are cloning their pets now?
I don't know it to be a thing that everyone's doing, but I've heard enough about it in recent news where it's like, this is insane.
It's very obtainable now. So it started, we talked about it a while ago with CRISPR gene editing. It started primarily in the racehorse and camel racing scenes in the Middle East, where big money was in the horse and camel racing.
That makes more sense.
They would pay to get the top fastest horses cloned and raise future generations of the clone. And one of the advantages is you want to clone your horse, you don't just get one of those fuckers. Sometimes you get like 8 at a time. And my understanding, and this may be shifting, but if you go to clone your pet, you could choose just to get the one, but oftentimes it, like, how the cells divide is you'll get like 2 or 3. So, and I think you can choose to reject them early before they grow very far or whatever, but a lot of times people, like, they get so excited they get like 3 of their clone. But these days in America, I think it's legal in all 50 states still. There's a handful of companies that do pet cloning. Costs about $30K, 30 to 50K, which is not too bad. Now, if you're familiar with in vitro fertilization shit, the whole business model of women having their eggs frozen, supposedly, it's like 90% of the industry is the profit is just the fees of holding the eggs in storage, right? That's where most of the profit is. So apparently, pet cloning is about the same. All of these people, they're preserving their pet's DNA. It goes into storage, and most people are paying a subscription just to have it held, but they're not doing much of the cloning very often.
So then in 10, 15 years when their pet dies.
Yep. And so far, it's been working out for the most part. But I also think it's very funny, the idea of for 10 years you pay thousands of dollars for your pet to be cloned, and then your pet dies, and then they lost the samples.
Yeah.
That's just the first funny part. But, all right, so imagine this. You're like a middle-class American. You've paid 30, 40 grand to get your pet cloned. You love your animal. You just put them down from some kidney disease, and you decide to get a clone, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I made my investment.
Yeah, you're going to finally cash in on it. You go to get your new puppy, cat, whatever, and they say, hey, we have 3 available. Would you like all of them, or do you want to kill 2 of them and only take the one you want, right? So yeah. Most people are like, oh, no, I'll just take all of them, right? So now you got 3 puppies coming your way, right? That's a pretty good hand. Now, here's the very funny part. There's a ton of reviews and Reddit pages of people deeply unhappy with their cloned pets. Now, I just think this is the funniest thing I've thought of in a long time. Imagine all these years you preserved your pet's DNA, you get the clone, and then you get 3 of them instead, and all 3 of your new pets suck. Dude, that's so fucking funny.
It is unfortunately the most funny. It's so funny.
You get 3 shitty dogs.
3 fucked up animals that you don't want.
And you, like, hate them, but you can't, like,
it's like, the worst part is, it's not even that you okay, these animals aren't working out for me. It's like, because you made the investment. 2, because you're comparing them to this other pet that you had.
The OG.
Great. Yeah.
The clonee.
That you loved so much.
Dude, it's so funny. There's all these people, like, complaining that their new clone dog isn't the same as their old dog. And I just think that's so
shit,
fun.
Dude.
Yeah, that's nature.
They're not going to come out and they're like, oh, what's up, dude? It's been a minute. Sorry I died back there. What's happening?
Well, apparently the biggest issue is, like, although, the DNA is the same, right? The personalities of the animals come out entirely, like, roll of the dice.
Yeah, of course.
But people don't expect that.
They're fucking idiots.
Yeah, they think the temperament will be the exact same. So they have, like, a nice, old, relaxed, comfy cuddle dog, and then they get 3 new ones, and they're all, like, hyper aggressive, like, crazy dogs, and then they're just, like,
fucking test tube dogs.
Dude, and the people that do it, they're, like, so angry and sad and upset, and I just think that is the funniest thing ever. I've just been thinking about it for, like, a month now.
I'm glad that's going poorly, because as a science advancement, I think the idea is very cool. I think the idea is cool. It's like, okay, that's awesome that that's a thing that we can do. That's cool.
And kind of weird if you go through with it.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like the thing is like
unless you're racing camels or horses, what the fuck do you need a clone of your cat for?
Right. It's like, okay, I had actually, that's what I was going to get to. So I thought about that of like, what's the, like, who in their right mind is like coming up with this idea of like, I need this, I'm going to spend the money investing in doing this to clone my pet. Of course, that's not how it started. It started because people are making money with animals, and that's
sports betting.
That's where that goes. Yeah. So that's where that goes. So there's that. The other thing is the way that I heard about cloning pets in the first place was someone talking about how it's like, again, it's like crazy and it's kind of cool that we can do that, and like what a neat advancement in society and in science or whatever. But what that's doing is taking away from people adopting all of the other animals that, all of these other dogs and cats and shit that dying. And like,
but that's just part of what makes it so much funnier. I mean, the whole thing is like a Shakespearean tragedy.
It kind of does. It's like, man, you miss so many opportunities with picking out a pet that would, that's already like, would be perfect, that you could like go through a catalog and like see what their behavioral tendencies are.
Just think of
pick the right one.
Just think of the type of person and the expectations they would have when they spend 30 to 50K cloning their pet and get a shitty version. I can't think of anything funnier ever. I'm so enamored with my own thoughts. It's funny, dude.
Imagine spending 30 to 50 grand on anything. That's not a car or a house.
To get a dog you hate that looks like the dog you love. So funny. I just can't get over there's this dude in Kentucky that is injecting fish cells or some shit and making glow-in-the-dark puppies in the woods in Kentucky. That's so wild, dude. In your kitchen, CRISPR gene editing, just making glow-in-the-dark puppies? How fucking sick is that, dude? That's sick as fuck, dude. We can get on fucking Craigslist and adopt 6 of them right now.
That's fucking insane.
So cool. Speaking of cloning, did you see
sorry, continue.
Did you see the new conspiracy theory dropped?
Which one? There's a new one every day.
All right, well, first you have to open truthsocial.com. It's my favorite social media website. Our president of the United States re-truthed this just yesterday. You ready? This is the president of our country, the leader of the free world, is re-truthing on his social media site called Truth Social. Mm-hmm. Quote, "There is no hashtag Joe Biden. Executed in 2020. Hashtag Biden clones, doubles, and robotics. Engineered, soulless, mindless entities are what you see. Hashtag Democrats don't know the difference." Wow. Oh, it's incredible. On your Truth Social website. So all over CNN this morning was conspiracy theorists now believe Biden is a clone. It's outstanding, dude. It's the fall of our empire is just such a beautiful sight to watch.
And here's the thing that makes me the most mad about that is the science of like, okay, Biden's a clone. So they planned it 81 years ago and they made another Biden.
Apparently, since 2020, he's been a clone.
They Benjamin Buttoned him.
He died in 2020, and the Democrats cloned him, and that's what we've been watching.
That's through the power of Satan. Anything's possible.
Well, apparently that's what the president says, so I take his word.
So it must be true.
Yeah, I just thought
if he didn't know what he was talking about, he wouldn't be in charge.
That's pretty amazing, right? That's like degen slop content. Okay, I expect better from our streamer in chief. He doesn't even have good streams anymore, dude. He hasn't showed up. He hasn't came online for chat for 3 days now. The whole chat's waiting. We need big W's from Big Prez, and he's just leaving us hanging. He's just truthing. He won't even get in the chat, bro. It's crazy. All right, moving on.
It's Jesus Christ. Okay, yeah, yep. What a roller coaster.
Did you see the woman who's Did you see the dead woman who Republicans turned into a breeding chamber?
I'm sorry, what?
Okay, this one's actually sad, dude. This woman was like 3 months pregnant. I forget which state it was.
Oh my God, I know exactly what you're going to talk about. Oh my God.
She went into a coma, died, and they're forcing the family to keep her on life support till the child is born.
Jesus Christ.
Can you imagine 20 years from now what that child is going to say? The government forced my dead mother to keep breeding me. Like, that's crazy, dude. I don't...
That is so insane.
It's like full Big Brother says you give birth. Shit. It's... your corpse has been chosen to be a breeding chamber by the
Because I've heard this story, and even the family's like, hey, no.
We don't want it.
Like, we don't want to do this. We don't want to go through with this. This is crazy.
Yeah, and they're forcing the and they have to pay for it all and shit, too. $1 million medical bill and a child that no one wants and reminds them of their daughter's death. And who knows if the child comes out healthy.
That's the other thing. It's like, how...
It's demented. We're in a deranged state of affairs currently.
It's insane to me how people aren't being right now.
Dude, I know. Pick one. Heads or tails, Pope or president?
Oprah or president?
No, Pope or president. You only get one.
Pope or president.
One. Yeah, that's the right answer. I have to bleep that, but yeah, you're correct.
Yeah. At least I got it right. You can bleep it out so no one else knows what the right answer is, but I think we all know what the right answer is.
Yeah, for sure. It's the 8647 thing is wild too. They want to charge people for it. Yeah. There's no way that goes through, but what a shocking world we're in. I don't know if you saw too, Palantir, the Peter Thiel's domestic spy company, is offering Trump private databases on citizens' collected data. There's going to be big stories the next couple weeks on that. Very interesting. So we're kind of entering into this new world, right? Like, my spite makes me want to hate the Pope the most. Like, fundamentally, I hate churches more than states. But the state's a far bigger problem. So now we're entering into this era. The heads of the churches, this new Pope, is semi-based. And we're going to be entering an era where we're going to have Christian alliances. How terrible is that? Where we're going to be more aligned with the people that actually listen to the Pope than our government. We're going to need a Christian co-host that can be our frenemy. Dude, it's all
so very upsetting.
That's what I was about to say. Is you get more stressed out about it than I do. I get I like rolling in the muck like a little piggy sometimes, but it does get tiring a bit. But
you know what it is? You know what it really is? It's the sense of hope leaving my body.
Dude,
it's the sense of like having it's exactly why.
Get rid of that.
Yeah. That's the problem. And the idea of having this ideal in your head where it's like, certainly this something's gonna like this can be made better in some way. Like certainly people are realizing that this is insane.
There's some of that. That's happening some. It would be a lie to say it's not at all, but
it's
I
still
would
like
say
the idea of like it hurts to feel like I live in a world where it's just like, wow, really everything that I thought was like priority is just not.
Yeah, our country betrayed us long ago. I have been kind of adjusting to this feeling over like the last like 5 years of feeling I've hated our country, and now I feel like I'm becoming a true patriot, and I don't really like that either. And I as much as I'm enjoying like kind of fighting over politics online and like being in some of the conversations or whatever, I am kind of abandoning that a bit. Not that like my attitudes on what to do to change things haven't changed, but there's no point in being too stressed or too frustrated or whatever. I think we're entering, while there's like a chance things still are okay or could be okay, I think we're at the point where we should enjoy watching things crumble. You know?
Yeah.
Like, this shit is funny. It is funny. It is objectively funny to watch demented people give
the hard part is removing yourself from it enough that it's like you can see it that way. It's just there's
nothing matters.
It really does. It's like, honestly, it's like the Christian thing where it's like, why do I now have to be the one to like defend these ideas of morality? Why do I have to be the one to defend these ideas of like, hey, fucking banning books and shit is wrong. Like banning people's bodily autonomy is wrong. Denying rights to people, judicial or, just like basic human rights to people is wrong. Why do I, as the secular atheist devil person, have to come out here and be like, hey, this is fucked up? Being the person who's like, yeah, the government's full of assholes, like, but,
See, that's where I've been. I feel like we've been in similar, perspectives with it. But I feel like I'm kind of trying to cut off that root of emotional attachment, because I see no value in that part of it anymore. Where emotionally I see no advantage into being emotionally invested into what happens to this country. Like the righteousness of politics, of religion, I very much still care, and I intend to stay opinionated and judgmental, but the outcomes are irrelevant. I don't see any way of, despite our best efforts or whatever, of like inflicting any change. The boat takes too long to turn. Too big of a country, we're too small voice, whatever. Our part to play is so minimal.
The damage is done, the ship is going down, and we have to...
I want to watch how it sinks. I want to see how the bubbles look.
We have to instead invest our time not in trying to save it, but in trying to find the best seats to watch.
That's where I'm at, dude.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a pragmatic point of view, because I don't want to change like the actions. Like I don't want to not resist it where I can, but there's going to be a lot of funny moments along the way, and I don't intend to miss them,
Mm-hmm.
You're not bought in. You can't help it.
I'm trying to be more, because I really am. I'm just, it's hard to, it's just, I think it's just astonishing to me. I mean, like, I didn't have a lot of faith in people in general, like in like masses of people in general, but it's just, I think upsetting is just the best word. It's like, how have you grown up in the same place as me? How have you, been surrounded by the same facts as me? How have you gotten this far in your life and you still lack the critical thinking skills to, like, when
make
faced
it to work.
with, like, just when faced with baseless shit, being able to, like, do like, I mean, you have a fucking brick in your pocket that can do all the work for you. Like,
more tech than NASA's first ships.
Yeah, it's like the idea of
more computing power.
And it's, of course, it's the fucking I do my own research crowd that's like, okay, I hear it on Truth Social or Fox News or on X, and like that's my doing my research, and it's like, dog, like, check your fucking sources. How goddamn stupid can you possibly be? People that like you've known forever, and you're just like, how can you fall for all of this? Like, I didn't know that you had it in you to be this just unconscious to problem solving skills. It's fucked.
Let me offer a little test, though. This is to see if you still have your wits about you. If you still have your, if all your funny bones are intact, right?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Tell me it's not hilarious that Florida just took out fluoride from their water.
It is. I mean, okay, that's actually fucking really funny.
Dude, it's so funny. It's so stupid and funny.
They banned porn and they took out fluoride from the water.
Yeah, dude. Florida's going to have all these sexually frustrated Appalachian meth mouth looking motherfuckers in like 5 years because they're so stupid. Yeah, that's funny.
Florida is like 20 years away from idiocracy.
Yeah, dude. I mean, when I think back like 10 years ago, I was far more crazy and delusional and highly intoxicated. I thought the world, I think, was more sinister, not like more good or bad or like good and evil, but like more sinister, I think, than I think it is now, in the sense that, like, I know how shitty and disgusting people can be, but I think now I more accurately attribute a lot more things to well-intentioned people doing dumb and stupid things than I used to. Where I think shit's gonna be really bad for a while, but at least there's moments when I can watch all of the Floridians teeth rot out of their face. I mean, there will be fun. There will be laughs to have. Come on.
Yeah, I'm fully down. Sorry, I was looking up the percentage because I also saw this.
Our president says the ex-president is a clone, dude. I mean,
it's fucked. The other thing I saw was apparently, so a lot of Florida's like infrastructure and like housing and all kinds of shit is based around a decent population, a decent part of the population being snowbirds, people from up
Yeah.
north, including Canada. And especially a bunch of Canadian people are like pulling out, selling their homes, don't want anything to do with it anymore. They're not going to Florida anymore. And a lot of other northern blue states are like, yeah, also, I don't want to fucking go to Florida anymore.
Yeah.
So they're losing.
They're getting hit hard right now.
All like so many of the people that own property and shit down there.
Yep. And their whole
and the people that live there now can't afford that property.
No, that's what I was about to say. Their whole housing market is upside down right now. At least in like Miami, like the major hotspot locations, they're like really suffering property wise and shit. Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna see like really big changes in I forget whose idea this was. Someone's making it popular. I think it's tied to the Ezra Klein abundance theory shit, but a lot of people are kind of pushing towards the segregation of Republican and Democrat states. Of like, you know, people have over the course of the last 200 years, states have become more red or blue than ever. Mm-hmm. And that discrepancy keeps growing, where over the next, 10 to 50 years, especially depending on the current political environment continuing to be more divided and extreme, that we're seeing a lot of people change where they live because of that. And we're going to see some states become much more segregated in that sense. There's probably a different, better word. But that's really interesting.
I mean, it's true because, when you're surrounded by people who believe in different shit than you, and it's like, and you have the alternative of like, I could go to a place where I feel more comfortable and I have more people that I can relate to. Just
get a gay marriage, get
it's like that's
change, whatever it is.
Yeah, like it's like a given that like, it's like you should move to a place where you feel like you can interact with the people around you. That was one of the things I learned about, when I moved, well, even in Florida, like the people that I felt like I had a connection with, that I could like have good conversations with, were all people from up north. Like almost everyone that I met who was like, maybe the exception of a couple people, but like almost everyone I met down there that was like, from Florida, born and raised, or from the South in general, born and raised, it was like, I have fucking nothing in common with you. Like, I can't have an intellectual conversation with you. I don't feel like there's nothing here. I have no interest in being around you. So it's like, I get it. Like, I absolutely 100% get it.
It's, I think it is kind of a more scary world, though, the more people are like politically tribal in location. Like, I agree. It's like you could turn a whole state into a, you can't fucking drive. It's not safe to drive through this state if you're a Democrat or something, or if, you think, porn should be legal, you can't drive through Florida. Yeah, it'll be like if you get pulled over, they have the right to check your browser history, and they'll be
yeah, dude.
That feels like within the next 5 years, that could be
that's not policy. Even that crazy.
It's really not. Wild world. I had a fight. I would say it was a light fight. I forget if I texted you about it or not. I do Sunday dinner with my family every week, right? Old school Catholic shit. I love my parents.
You don't even have to go to church, and you're still reaping the rewards.
Oh, yeah. I love my parents. They're actually good people, but they are indeed Catholic Trump voters, which is incredibly frustrating. And we hadn't really had a direct confrontation about it since the election, because I already knew they're going to do what they're going to do. We fought plenty in the past. It's like, I can't change them. It's not, they don't want that for me. I don't want that with them either, or whatever. I forget what it was over, but we did fight quite a bit, and I feel like I made a lot of ground, to be honest. But which my favorite thing to do in similar situation is weaponize their own religion against them, because it's so incredibly effective. I don't know how people in similar positions, they decide like their politics and their philosophy are separate. And for whatever reason, their political choices are immune from their metaphysical choices or preferences. Yeah. But one of the things my mom did say that I have a lot of sympathy towards, and I actually kind of relate to her train of thought quite a bit, is she felt, they're politically homeless. They hate Trump, but they're old school Catholic Republicans. They feel like they have to vote Republican, right? Abortion, dumb shit like that. And one of my arguments is always like, well, if we lived in the world you guys voted for, you would be raising 2 of my aborted kids and I'd be dead. So
yeah.
Like, sweet. Like, really, that's what you want to vote for? It's so stupid. But she felt, they don't have real political options because the Republican Party has abandoned them. MAGA is its own engine at this point, and there's no room for the outdated rhinos of the past with true conservative values and like religious preferences. And she said she feels like she has no North Star, were her words, because her father, my grandpa, was a Republican judge. And she felt like truly, I feel like she was being very genuine, that she felt like truly politically starless, of like not knowing how to navigate our changed world without her father, who had pretty keen political insight, although I probably would disagree with most things he believed in. But when I think of a lot of things in politics, I think about my grandpa, because as a Republican judge, I feel like he has to be rolling in his grave. Like, if he could just see the things his party have turned into. Yeah. I feel like he would have been like a never Trumper kind of guy, or at the very least, I could see him agreeing with a lot of the modern Republican Party, but the nature of the corruption to like an old school, grew up poor Lebanese kid in Price Hill to like being a judge with a spotless record who like really believed in the rule of law and order politics. I feel like the corruption of the Republican leadership I feel he just would be incensed, yelling at the TV every day. And I wish I was able to have those conversations with them, because I feel like they'd be so interesting and I don't know, enlightening. You know?
I wonder at what point does it become where, like, okay, if you're like philosophical, your religious opinions don't align with, basically your personal life and your personal beliefs don't align with, any party. There is someone who, there is a side that, is advocating for things like abortion and things that are like, okay, like people should have the right to choose this. And you're saying, you believe no, there are party issues that you can align with, but for the most part, you just don't get with either side.
Yeah.
At what point does it become like, like at what point is the idea of like, okay, we don't like this person, but we have to vote for him like, when does that turn into, we don't like either of these people and we're just not going to vote this year?
Yeah, or
we're going to vote. We're going to vote
against.
Independent.
Yeah, or that was one of the
like not even vote against. Like, I feel like that's even like a further step.
It is,
but like,
for sure,
because I feel like we saw a lot in the, this last election where there's enough people that were like, I'm not going to vote for Trump, but I don't like the pro-Israel stance that, the Democrats are taking. So we're going to,
nobody.
I'm not going to vote at all. And
at first
how that turned out.
And at first Democrats didn't think that hurt them. It turns out it did, which I think is dumb that many people were persuaded by whatever.
Right, of course.
That hurt Democrats a lot. That was one of the dialogue trees we went down and I think a lot of people are kind of faced with that dilemma of like, how in good consciousness can you support this, right? It's not that you could have chose not to support, and I think really morally you have a moral and I would say religious obligation to oppose it and vote against, but I understand that's too big of a step for you. It's a little too scary. But at the very least, you should be abstaining.
And that's the inaction is still an action you can take.
And I think it's just it's too much to ask for people. I talked to like 3 people this week that all would have voted against Trump, and none of them voted in the last 2 elections.
Yeah.
And one of them was in the Air Force too. It's like, I literally can't understand. I can't understand the multiple levels of contradiction of like, how can you complain that some things that are happening are wrong if you refuse to do the minimal? And how could you, during that period, I don't know, the military's more complicated, but the combination of things is like, I think people really just feel like none of it matters, or they don't have a say in anything, and and I feel like it's annoying as fuck when they run down those conversations, because like, yo, I felt that way more than you. Like I feel I understand where you're coming from more than you can articulate why you feel that way. And I don't feel like you have a good enough reason to feel that way. Like, unless you're a true nihilist, like, you suck. You're making my world worse. In my worldview, I should be able to fucking delete you. Like, I truly feel that way. Like, you're making my world worse. You don't deserve to be here. And I will fight for democracy with a fascist iron rule.
I mean, apparently it's the only way.
It's the only way, dude. You gotta be bombastic and aggressive.
Jesus, the fucking, I've only just, I don't watch much, like, news shit anymore. I still get notifications all the time, and I just, depending on where I'm at and what I'm doing, I pick and choose which ones I end up watching. And I just saw all the shit about, like, first, like, Elon was at the Oval Office with a fucking black eye.
Dude.
And then
shit today.
Someone on Fox was talking about, like, he was so fucked up on ketamine that he couldn't even piss, right? Or something.
He was pissing blood. They don't reveal that till midway through the big article on it. He's been pissing blood for a while. Not to cut you off, I know you're not doing this now, but I feel like it's a good opportunity to point it out. I find this part of the dialogue very frustrating, because right now there's so many people that are quote unquote on our side, just making fun of him for being a drug addict. And I feel like it's really shitty, like, contradictory behavior, when the argument should always just be like, what did he do? Like, I don't care what the fuck he snorts. I care what the fuck policy and fucking corruption and shit he's done. And I know that's not what you're doing. It's just a good window.
Right.
Throw it in there.
That's a valid point, though. That's a valid point.
Like business-wise, from a business perspective, I think it's a very very much a factor, like someone's social habits or addictions or weaknesses in whatever shape they are, to take that into account. And I think Tesla would be thriving if they cut him out 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But all these political articles are just trashing him as a junkie, and it's like, this feels weird, because Republicans were trashing fucking what's his name, the Biden son.
Hunter Biden.
Yeah. And it's Musk, Rogan, all these losers. They all signed those same gun forms about not doing drugs. And no one ever is getting prosecuted on that.
Now, that's a point that I'd like to bring up. At what point does having the most money out of anyone in the world, and also doing the things and saying the things that he does, at what point does that absolve him of the empathy of like, okay, I get we shouldn't treat most people like that for having addictions, but he's different because he's an asshole, no matter, like, he's done enough egregious things and has said enough egregious things.
But what does his drug use have to do with any of it? Like, I feel like it's so easy to point to.
It's a hat on a hat. It's a, hey, he's
it's a slippery
terrible
slope.
person, and he's awful, and also he can't live without drugs. He also doesn't have the willpower, but he can afford his habit, and he can, you know.
We don't know that. He was not, like, he's on ketamine and shit. Like, you know, they were listening to his ad. I'm sure, like, if he would a week in a cell with no chemical access, he would suffer, but he would be okay. He's not going to die.
Well, no, of course, but in the extreme of roasting people.
But I feel like there's so much real shit to roast him on. He's
but I'm saying if in this case, there's plenty of things to roast him on. I feel like it shouldn't be off limits to in his particular case. We could.
You're saying we should. Bad tactics, I agree. Just targets. That's what I'm hearing.
I think we should be roasting him on more things. Yes, I agree. There are more egregious things that we should be roasting him on. Yes.
Well, let me
if you want to throw in a little punchline at the end of it about,
I don't care about punchline. I don't. I'm not like what we call moral frogging. Okay, I'm not doing that. I don't give a fuck. But I think from left-leaning institutions, it's hypocritical. Where, like, I don't give a fuck if people are making the jab.
Fair. Yeah,
I don't give a fuck about anything. Like, none of it matters. But it is like I feel like it's you're like setting yourself up for future problems. Where if you want to be strong politically, it is the wrong attack to make when there are so many more accurate attacks you could make. It's like, if I want to push your argument to the extreme of, like, tactics and targets, well, it's like, couldn't I use, like, tactical racism when it's appropriate? Like, if there's, like, a really good moment where, like, normally it's bad to do this, but because this is...
It's race is based on circumstantial fact versus the choice of doing drugs.
I feel like you're taking my argument a different way, or I should have used a different example, because my point is not.
I get where you're coming from. Of, like, it can be used in different ways. Let me offer this real quick though. Wait a minute, because I had a thought.
Yeah, we could use an off ramp.
Yeah, so if you're dealing with a side of the other person on the other side of the argument, if that's the shit that they seem to care about, that's, like, important to them, the shit they bring, when they bring up shit about Hunter Biden, when they bring up shit about...
But they don't care about it.
Right. But if that's the message that they're sending out, that, like, hey, they're saying that this is something they care about, then isn't that a best reflection of, like, but also look at your boy here.
If you're in a spar, like if you want to go tit for tat, I would say yeah. Like if you know, if you're just trying to hit back, right? But I feel like it's better to attack the things they actually care about, which is harder. Like if they want to make fun of the president's son who didn't hold a political office for doing drugs, and you're like, well, the guy that is wielding political power, non-elected position that is doing substantial damage to our country and democracy, has a much more arguably severe drug problem, and it clearly has affected our country in XYZ ways. I feel like that's a good tit for the tat. But they don't care about that. Like, they don't care that.
No, I definitely agree with that.
So I feel like the better argument.
I agree that here's the problem is that they don't really care about anything. It's just whatever owning the libs means that week.
Yeah. But I agree with you emotionally, but they do care about things. It's just things we don't care about because they are dumb things to care about. Like these people do have very strong values. They're just really dumb values.
They're just wrong values.
Yeah, like I was going to say, like the argument to make is not about his drug use. It's about fiscal responsibility or, law and order. It's about those things of like, and it's going to be a harder conversation that
it's going to be a harder conversation because you start talking about like numbers and fiscal responsibility shit with a fucking Trump voter, and their eyes are going to roll into the back of their head and glaze over.
Yeah, but
and because they don't understand the conversation, they just know what they've heard on Twitter and shit.
Yeah,
but then they're mad about it.
Every once in a while, you get something lucky from the internet heavens, where like today, Elon's coming out against the big beautiful bill.
Yeah,
saying like, I tried so hard to stick with the Trump administration, but what this bill is an abomination that is an affront to everything I tried to do with Doge. Like,
yeah.
Musk is a true believer. He is not the same type of villain as Trump. He truly believes we can balance this budget, America will thrive, and I can save humanity and get us to Mars. Like, what he believes is very different than Trump, who wants to crypto scam his way into a golden tomb, right? Like,
exactly, yeah.
So every once in a while you get
only
lucky.
Fucking goal.
We're like, all right, now you're having the conversation instead of like attacking Musk on hypocritical drug use. They don't care about it. It's like, hey, look, this guy that for the last 4 years you've been, blowing his dick on your Twitter feed is saying that everything your president that you worship is trying to do is wrong, and you can't support both of these ideologies at the same time. You believe in fiscal responsibility, balance sheet budget, all this other dumb shit. Well, now you're at a crossroads of what do you believe, because these ideas are not cannot both be had at the same time. They're mutually exclusive, and there's a lot of division. Like I think the tweeting started last night, whatever. It's making a big difference. Honestly, it's like, it's very nice he's doing this, because I think we only have to flip, is it in the House right now that they're going to be voting? We only have to flip so many Republicans before the current version of the bill will no longer be able to go through. And all across the internet, all these officials are being like, their fan base is very divided all at once over a handful of tweets from the richest man in the world about maybe Trump's wrong about this. And it's giving some of these Republican leaders enough support to lift their spine and voice some dissent. That's what's really happening, because a lot of these guys don't want this bill either. But if they speak up about it, their whole career is over. And right now they're getting ammo from Elon to potentially shift. Like, this bill it's so stupid. And from the deck chairs of the Titanic, it is kind of fun to watch, but this bill is the economic future of our country going down the drain. And Elon's tweets, as stupid as it fucking is, matter a lot right now on the outcome of are we going to double our national debt and go full recession mode? Or are we going to be able to, steer from the iceberg just enough to make it to another election? Like, it's pretty severe right now.
Yeah.
Of where, and so much of it is on these internet debates. It's pretty shocking. Like, if you're our parents or whatever, like, how much of politics or like these conversations they are not aware of at all that are happening, of like this shit is happening out in the open in places most normal people aren't looking, and they matter a fucking lot.
Yeah. The idea of, let me think of a way to phrase this better. The idea of trying to communicate that with someone who is so bought in to...
Yeah, it's near impossible, right?
Whether it's just like bought into like the Trump thing, or bought into the conspiracy theories that like, Biden was a clone, or like people that believe shit like that are... So it's like, it's the flat earth thing all over again. It's like, it's not that you want to know the truth. It's that you want to feel like you know something that other people don't. You want to feel like you have a grip on something and everyone else is wrong. It's like, it doesn't matter if it's actually true. It only matters that you can convince yourself it's true, no matter what people say. To try to convince someone like that anything that they believe is wrong, or just like to just consider a little bit more.
But isn't that
so
like,
much work?
But as you say it, the despair drips from your words a bit, and I guess what I'm trying to get to just a little bit, and I'm certainly guilty of this too, because I think our side suffers from introversion and self-reflection a lot more than our counterparts. But isn't it kind of exciting? Like when you come across a Pokemon in the wild that is so delusional, so mentally ill, so confused that they're attacking with the confusion attack and dodge, and you need to, like, isn't it kind of exciting when someone believes something so crazy? Like, in a conversation with someone you introduced me to not that long ago, they said something pretty funny about, and for me, that's exciting. Like, I feel like we need to be like more energized and like eager for battle. Isn't it kind of fun or like exciting that somebody believes something crazy and we have a chance to like, compassionately correct or aggressively crush?
Yeah, when you come across them in the wild, it's one thing. When it's someone you care about, it's more upsetting. I think it's harder because once you get over the fact that like, oh, this person I thought I knew, whether it's like, were they always like this? Or like, am I just now seeing it, or did something happen? Like, what happened that kind of brought them into this, and like brought them into this place where they can't seem to make like reasonable judgments about the things that they're reading and seeing and saying. Like, once you get past that point where it's like, okay, I accept that regardless of whether they've always been this way or it's just kind of happened like out of the spur of the stress of the last 8 years, the fact that you have this connection with this person makes it like, I don't know what to say. I don't know. How do you approach that? How do you, beside, you know, and, you know, I don't want to get more personal than that, but like, it's hard when like you don't have like a strong connection with them. And it's like, I don't want to interact with you if this is all we're going to talk about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want this to be, this is our relationship now, is me trying to convince you that it's not just like the things you're reading, it's your perspective. It's your critical thinking and your analysis skills in putting one and one together and trying to figure out like, and seeing that like, okay, I don't know. It's,
here's what I would offer, because I know what and who you're talking about. That is different and far heavier, right?
Yeah.
I would say that, like, we can't win every war, and not every battle is worth having or whatever. I feel like it's, you know, like we were talking about, I know somebody going through the Jewish question conspiracy now, and I'm waiting to see where where the fate of their soul will land, right? Mm-hmm. I want to have that conversation with them. They don't want to have it. I can't force it to happen, and I'm not going to try, right? You know, I made my offer. They weren't interested. That's it, right? I feel like those like long wars of like, I can, you know, even with my parents at dinner the other night, I can make some ground up. I can make progress, get something through to them that maybe changes something. But the rest of their life, they can regress or settle wherever they want, right? I can't change people. But in those moments of like bumping into the odd small battle, I feel like for many of us, our natural inclination is to avoid that also, where it's not worth having, or it takes something from us. And I definitely feel that way pretty often. But I feel like, while we'll never see how they add up, I feel like those small conversations or things or opportunities matter a lot, where
I agree with that.
Where we should be eager for those, of like the finding conflicts with people in social, like those are like good moments not worth ignoring. The like wars,
if the potential to enlighten someone, or I mean, for that matter, be enlightened, but
or
for the
most part,
them. Yeah, or just
them
crush them.
Shamed,
yeah, defeat. Yeah, shame them.
Socially excluded and philosophically homeless and distraught.
If the potential for, you know, that comes up, yeah, you're right. Like the non-confrontational nature of so many people our age is.
They just want to talk shit behind their back.
Yeah.
Bro, that's what everybody does. They're like, somebody says something crazy, right, and everybody's like, doesn't say something, and then after they leave, they're like, "Oh, dude, that was crazy, dude."
Is it talking shit behind someone's back if we're doing it on a podcast?
Fuck no. I'll say this: anyone says crazy shit in front of me, I never will let crazy shit pass unless the person's armed. Then I let
That's a fair rule. That's a smart rule.
You should have seen my homeboy Rico. Oh my god, dude. He'd have like 30 felonies on him saying some whack shit. I'm like, dude, we have to go. What are you talking about? It's like, well, I don't have time for this, bro. We gotta go. You gotta let some shit slide, you know? But
we have one of our customers is a I don't know the full extent of her political leanings. My guess would be more like less full on MAGA, more like libertarian turned MAGA.
Like the full-fledged wackadoo party, perhaps?
Yeah. I fully believe that this woman would believe whatever conspiracy theory she found about the government and all the like maybe not like reptile people or whatever, but like
Big Pharma definitely poisoned her third child.
Yeah, for sure. So
absolutely.
She is a regular customer of ours, and she's been coming in for a long time. Like longer than I've even worked there. Very, every weekend we know this woman's order by heart. She gets the same fucking thing, every time. And one day there were people like with petitions to sign outside of the farmer's market because it's city property. It's public. And, I forget exactly the thing they were asking for signatures on, but it was like a left leaning agenda thing. And she absolutely went off on me and the other guy that was working there. She was just venting. She was venting about the situation outside, but like we're trapped behind the bar. Like we're at work.
She's got you cornered.
And she's just like, she thinks she's just like, it was one of those like, she thinks that like we automatically agree with her kind of thing. So she's just going off about it. Like,
we should those people are the worst, dude.
Like we should just go like, yeah, totally. And they just start
chirping about shit and assume you fully agree. That's like what racist people do. They just start talking hella racist shit.
Yeah.
And it's like a shit test of like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Yeah. So like, I'm stuck in this station where like, okay, we know who this person is. They have a long-standing relationship with our business. It's like true that one smoothie a week for us is like, that's a lot.
She's not exactly a whale for the company. She's not an oiler, as the chat would say. Right, chat?
I mean, if you think about it, like if she's coming every week, that's like $500 a year.
Fuck her,
like
dude.
It's not crazy, but and at this point, I'm like, I'm not worried about it. At the time, we were much smaller. It was a much smaller operation then, and we're like, so I'm still kind of new to the business too, and I'm trying to be respectful of the business, and I'm doing the thing, and I'm just like, that's crazy, like that's pretty wild. I think I remember in particular, I was like, yeah, people can be really crazy sometimes, and like just
dude,
trying to
funniest. When you give like the general planet, like, yeah, that's really wild.
Yeah, I did
people
a bunch
are crazy.
It's like the people are crazy, and I was trying to like, I'm saying it about her, but I'm saying it to her, and so she's hearing it in context of them. And eventually she walked away, and we both looked at each other like, whoa, didn't realize she was like that. Because she's like an old lady, and it's like, all right, whatever. So,
dude, old ladies are the worst.
So, see, she came. This has been like years later now. She came into the shop the other day, and I forget who was in there with us. And there's another customer we're talking to, and it was political something. We were just like, oh yeah, like all this shit's crazy. Like someone said, I think the customer said something about like these crazy fucking Trumpers will do anything or, believe anything or whatever the fuck, was like just straight trash talking them. And we're all just like, yup, it's fucked.
And the Trumper goes, go.
Yeah. She's like right behind them trying to get something out of the cooler. And she comes over and she pays for her thing and leaves, like without saying a word. And, someone else was like that wasn't like, she didn't seem like what she wanted to be. Like she seemed like upset, she was like really trying to like, she didn't want to say anything. Like if I said hi and she didn't say anything, and I was like explained to her like why she didn't say anything. She felt very unsafe. And for a minute I thought she is not coming back next week. But she absolutely did. And she has been back every week since.
There you go. That's the power of a good fruit bowl.
Yeah, man. That tells you that shit'll heal all wounds.
You got good cocaine, they come back.
Yeah.
No matter how much they dislike you personally.
Exactly.
The same's true for fruit bowls, bro.
I can't go to that other place. That other place, they banned me over there. So.
They cut their fruit far too much.
Oh, the woke mob banned me from Nautica Bowls, or whatever. I got banned from Tropical Smoothie Cafe for using the wrong pronouns.
What is the I know we looked this up before. What is the case law on you can't exclude people from your business for political stuff, right?
Well, here's the beautiful thing, and it might be state to state, but like you can refuse service to anybody for any reason at all. In a lot of states, you can just say, I don't feel comfortable serving you. I don't feel comfortable taking your order. And that's all it has to be. If you can like prove that it's like a race thing or whatever, you can make a stink about it. But as long as it's not like a public service, there's nothing you can do about it. It's a private business. We can do whatever we want.
There was the big case. We did an episode on it too, but I remember the Supreme Court argument was not as straightforward as everyone thought it was about the gay cake maker thing.
Yeah.
It was actually far more nuanced than most people believed, because you can exclude people.
That's unfortunately
a fair bit more than people realize.
I unfortunately in that situation, I agree that the law is that woman had every right to not make a cake for someone that she didn't agree with politically or philosophically or whatever. If it's her business, she has the right to not take a customer for whatever reason. If she just, maybe she just didn't fucking feel like doing it.
But whatever. There are nuances. I know that, like with the cake thing specifically, they weren't ultimately compelled to, but if they would have done it for some weddings but not others, there were like weird, it's more I know race, age, sex, those things are harder lines, but with sexual preferences and political beliefs, I think there are more nuances, but it's all kind of confusing. I tend to think like even like we needed companies to be forced to hire all types of people, right? Like at a certain point in America, we needed that, right? Yeah. I'm not like against that, but there is the more classical libertarian argument that I find compelling. And in my more ideal anarchic fantasy, I like the idea of companies, or because of individuals. Like, I like the idea if I open a fucking business, I don't want to fucking hire Christian employees. Like, there is no world in which I should be forced to hire and employ people that believe such heinous things. But I don't. After your business is above a certain size, I don't think you can legally exclude people on religious basis, right? Just as you can't with race, Yeah. I think you should be able to, though, for a bunch of reasons, but because it's maximal freedom and it makes people identify with what they believe. Like, if Microsoft wants to hate gay people, I want it to be known that you know what I mean?
Exactly. But, 100%. I think,
but we couldn't get to where we are now without at some point it being, people didn't have that choice too.
I fully agree with that, with like race and circumstantial stuff, where it's like, okay, like you can't refuse to hire someone because they're from, Connecticut or something. It's like, it's the same line. It's like, they didn't have any control over that. That's the life they live. That has nothing to do with them.
Connecticut murdered my father.
Then you have to suck it up, Stephen. You have to hire that young Connecticut individual.
In the ideal world, as an idealist, I would say, even though it's wrong to not hire people from Connecticut, just because Connecticut sentenced my father to death, I feel like I should be able to do that still. It's the Nazi argument, right?
Yeah,
I want Nazis to be able to fly a fucking SWAT flag on their front porch because I want to know where the fucking Nazis at. Like, you know,
that's true. And I guess you, I mean, technically, here's the thing: you can do that.
In not all places, but generally, yes.
But the thing is, like, if you want to field your, you know, your employment, you know, if you want to screen people that way, that's what I'm trying to say. If you want to screen people that way, and you want to say, I'm not hiring any people from, you know, these 30 states.
No jihadi Johns or Christian Charlies.
Like if you're trying to do that, you technically could do that, and you could probably fly under the radar. I mean, even if you make it, you know, like we're beating around we're making jokes about it. But if you want to say like,
up to a certain size, and then you can't. Is my understanding.
There comes a degree where, well, the other thing,
and you're not really allowed to begin with, but
you're not allowed to begin with. But like, there comes a point where like it's going to get noticed.
But that's
the thing. It's like
we don't make laws based on what you get away with, though.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So like, of course, with small businesses, that happens every day. That happens all the time already anyways, because
and big companies get away with a lot of bullshit too.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it just goes it's way easier to throw it under the radar. Like, I've been a part of hiring processes before. I know how
and you discriminate all the time.
I discriminate on everyone. The idea of like, you get a resume in and like, you know so much more about the person than what they put.
Yeah. They can't
their resume.
Read you.
Yeah. Well, like you can see, you know, and based on names, based on schools, based on shit like that, like, you may not have a known fact, but you can draw some conclusions, and you can figure out of like, okay, they went to all these, they went
and
to,
you can research.
They didn't just go to Catholic school through, you know, high school. They went to Catholic school in college, and they're currently enrolled. And it's like, yeah, you can tell someone's, you know,
they were in the priest school. Yeah. There's, like, think if you're a really, really small company, and you, in your company handbook, you say, like, you cover things like pregnancy leave or whatever, and, like, you do so with good intention, right? And then you go for your first hiring round, and you only get 20 pregnant women who apply for the jobs. And you're like, oh, shit. Like, if I don't discriminate right now, my company is out of business tomorrow. Like, there's weird situations where...
Can I tell you a secret? It's not really a secret.
I love secrets because I love telling them to other people.
A lot of businesses include things like, must be able to lift 50 pounds over your head. Or something like that. Something along that line where it's like...
That's what we call ageist policy. Okay, that's how you keep the old, brittle people out.
You can be old, you just can't be brittle. We can't discriminate you. We can't discriminate against you for being old. We can discriminate against you for being brittle because we don't think that you're going to be able to stand up to the task of this job that you're applying for.
I think some states have walked some of that back too.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like every job I've ever applied for, that's in the handbook somewhere. Something about that. I mean, what it really is saying is you need to be able-bodied to do this job, which is where it's like...
Which is fair.
Because I've thought about before, if someone like in a wheelchair applied for this job, I would have to tell them like, hey, we only have a few places that are like, we only have a few people that are like, or only a few places that are like handicap accessible. And then even then, so much of this job, like the commercial counter spaces that are just available are not going to be accessible for you to work with easily. Like I'm sure there's a way, you know, but it's like, but
you're not big enough to accommodate that currently.
Exactly. We're not at a place where we can accommodate that, and that's not the company's fault for not having that ability. It's just like I'm like, it sucks. I wish we could, but we can't. So within that same like reference, it's like yeah, you don't want to hire someone who's going to be, clock in on their first day and then, be out with like, that they're just sick. They have the flu. And it's like, okay, maybe the first week you're like, okay, fuck, I feel better, man. Like we'll get you back in. We'll try it out. And then especially like salary positions and stuff too, where it's like, they're already collecting their paycheck.
But we get into this weird world where a lot of the policies or beliefs or laws I would pass in the ideal world or in a world modeled off myself, they would be incredibly successful, right? But in reality, I can't count on the goodwill of X% of businesses to not abuse these things, where you have to start like crafting policy in court. Our whole legal system is essentially, this might be a bit hyperbolic, but essentially based on what a reasonable person believes. What is reasonable to the average person? Would a reasonable person believe this to be true, or should you be held liable because a reasonable person should have known that? Like, all things come down to this imaginary reasonable person. And I feel like if you craft your personal, it's like the private versus public beliefs. Like I can have my private belief that I believe we should have revenge laws of some sort. Mm-hmm. But I also have enough wisdom to realize I don't know if there's enough reasonable people that this could work without serious repercussions.
Right. And if done properly, I've heard about your revenge laws ideas, and if done properly,
very reasonable,
and not abused, I think it makes sense. It passes the sniff test.
It'd be a beautiful world.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, dude.
The problem, what do we end up getting to is like, just hire a hitman.
You can hire
a proxy.
Yeah, proxies to enact your revenge under as long as it's pre-reported.
Well, that's what. Yeah, because it's pre-reported, and then we also said they work for free because we said that you can't. It would
monetize revenge. Yeah,
exactly. You can't do that. You can't have it be like only people who can afford it can afford to avenge their wrongs.
The Avengers
free. So we have volunteer Rambos just.
Yeah, dude, standing up to bullies for the little man, bro. Because I don't want to live in a world where infinite power, or what is it? What is the line? God damn it, I fucked it up. Might makes right, where the strongest man has infinite ability to bully the small man.
We don't want that.
Yeah. No. We must have brave Avengers who bring justice. Just like the police should be our rarely seen guardian angels that protect they do no pre-crime work. Okay, police need to knock that off. We need all police to get off the streets and into the lab doing post-crime work.
Let me I think if you put it to a bill like this, if you put it to a vote in the way of you're like, okay, what we need is cops for cops. We need people.
Bro, Internal Affairs, IA. Dude, have you not seen SVU? IA has those guys are the real hard-nosed cops, bro. They're just busting cops all day, going undercover at police. Oh, man, that'd be so much fun, dude.
Be pretty good.
Dude,
I'm saying like, okay, you feel like you were mistreated when you were arrested, yeah, maybe you were driving under the influence, but they didn't have to, throw you on the ground and tie your hands behind your back like that.
Just because I had a bunch of drugs in my trunk and were highly intoxicated. The officer did not know that, and he did not have the right to break my nose when he slammed my face into a steering wheel. Right, that I know to be true.
So if you hire someone to go break that cop's nose,
that's fair game, brother. As long as it's reported with a registered Avenger, you're good to go.
Yep, it's reported, and it's on paper. You got the paperwork all filled out in triplicate. You're good.
And it was equal or lesser degrees of
equal
harm.
or lesser degrees, right? Correct. So
within a reasonable margin, as long as the reasonable man finds it reasonable. You're good to go, bro.
The idea, I forget if we actually landed on a thing with that, or with like, okay, I get that they're like volunteers, but like there has to be at some point where like, if you want quality, they need to be paid. We want like quality assurance on the character or whatever. You gotta pay them. So wait, hear me out. At what point, like how do you have to phrase this so that they're paid by American tax dollars?
Oh, that's very fun. Well, we got public pretenders, right? So we need public Avengers.
Yeah,
bro.
we'll get public. And then here's the other thing. Do you think we'll get public Avengers before we get universal health care in the United States? Which do you think is a working medical care system for every person in the United States? Ooh. Do you think we'll get that, or tax-paid Avenger system?
I think we can get Avengers. If we have 2 more Republican presidents, I could get my Avengers platform through way.
I think we would get
healthcare.
That way sooner. I feel like that would be way easier for people to hop on board with and vote for and work out the system. And it's going to be terrible, and it's not going to work as it should.
No, the reasonable man will not find it at all reasonable.
They're all gonna ruin it. It's such a good idea, but they're gonna fuck it up.
But think about like how much quote unquote liberal policy is that way. Or like if we all were willing to work together to some extent and be reasonable. There's like so much shit we can get done that just is not our world. And it's
the pay it forward thing.
It's very annoying as an idealist. Now, I'd like to point out, I know we got to get the fuck off here. We were just talking, like you said, a peek behind the kimono. We have to switch up. We have some podcast meta going on in the background right now in Trashcat.
Yeah.
I don't know how the fuck we're ever going to do short episodes. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah. What if we just did one long one like this and just cut it up into 3 pieces?
Oh, God, that's disgusting.
It's terrible.
It's disgusting.
Let's come back next week for part 2.
Jesus Christ. Also, we'll do an episode on it later. I think we should start a political party called the Trash Cats, and it's based off the 3 pillars we established last episode. I feel like we could have a whole
3 powerful pillars.
The 3 powerful pillars of the Trash Cat political party, and it'd be so easy, dude. Comes, drugs, guns. We have a dirt left viable political party right there. Can you imagine? Also, I think we start this thing. We have mirror candidates, right? Imagine your mayor says they run for office, or you run for office, and you call yourself a mirror candidate, and your whole political platform is actually directly Democratic policy, where anyone who votes for you can vote on the website every week of what you're going to do or what policies you focus on. And you hold like no personal positions or enact anything that's not directly chosen by your like political cult. And you just run, and you start having people run as mirror candidates this way. I feel like there's, as like, unreasonable as that might sound, I feel like there's something to that idea worth exploring.
There's something to that idea, but I've also seen what people will do when they realize the internet has an influence on something.
Yeah.
I'd like to take, point your attention to what's the Reddit pixel thing where like,
oh, dude, DG, the Dalagang, dude, we killed it last pixel thing. Do you remember? We killed Hassan. We had K911 where we killed Hassan's dog in the pixel competition, dude. It was epic, bro.
my case and point.
Dude, what is that called? The pixel art thing?
I don't know. It's the fucking Reddit
How do we
thing.
Dude, but DGG, we had the Dalagang, we played Taliban music, and we went around executing all the streamers' pets they were making in the pixel art. We would just like kill all their pets in the pixel art.
Cool.
We were all on a Discord server with Taliban music going, just murdering people's art. It was so much fun. This is what I do at night. I don't sleep, bro. I had like 2.5 hours last night. I'm on weird websites doing weird shit with strangers, bro.
You know what's funny is like... I have things like, I was thinking the other day, man, I've been craving soup. I want to get some, go to the grocery store, I'm going to get some stuff and make soup. And like, that was like kind of and like, I got a few different things, make a couple different kinds. And I was like, that's the thing that I want to do in my free time now is like fuck around and like make some good soups. And then Steven's over here.
I'm listening to frogs chirping. I got Taliban music going and I'm fucking assassinating people with pixels, dude. Hell yeah.
That's some wild shit. The dichotomy of man. You're either a soup guy or a Taliban execution pixel art guy.
Oh, man, this is fun. Goofy.
Yeah. Thanks again for listening, everybody. Thank you to Approaching Human for the use of his music. You can find what?
I made a howler monkey sound. Also,
I thought you were chiming in with something.
I was. We should scrap our outro. We should do. We should change it.
All right.
How do we do it? Like, how do we cut it down without like screwing John? And ourselves. But we don't use Facebook or social media.
Okay, so here's how we do it. Go to SoundCloud and search for Approaching-Human. Can we get that clean? Mm-hmm. Right now, go to SoundCloud, search for Approaching-Human.
We'll have an album out in about a year. Don't worry.
About a year, maybe a year and a half, maybe 2.
I have an Instagram called Skyzix where I put up
fuck you,
crazy
fuck
person art. I know, dude. That's what I'm saying. How do we do it? But I feel like we just need to skip to the Go Fast Eat Trash shit.
Okay.
So I feel like we're booming out, sharing a Facebook page no one uses. It's just upsetting when I edit the episode. I'm like, oh man, Facebook though.
Hey, listen. I will say, I think I brought the idea to the table of like, do we even want to have like, do we even use the Facebook?
Facebook is the most effective.
Leave it in. I was like, all right, cool. It was a couple years ago, maybe.
X and Facebook are still the most effective. I just added 5,000 strangers and talked to people.
That's insane.
It's very funny, bro. People are crazy on there. It's like so unhinged now.
I finally went through and deleted everyone on Facebook who is not directly a relative.
That's a good way to go. Yeah, I don't use it. We'll figure it out.
Mostly, I only have them on there so that in case of emergency, I can be reached and found.
Yeah, you can report them.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, thanks for listening, guys. Appreciate you sticking around. You guys are whoever sticks this far through any episode is very cool, and we do indeed appreciate you.
Yeah, it's like at this point you already know what we're gonna say. Yeah. Why are you still here?
They're lazy or preoccupied.
I think you should just end it after that.
Kill us now. Kill me. Kill me.
I want that bass boosted while the music plays.
Kill me.
All right, say your line.
Oh, I thought, like I said, I think you should just end it where we say,
no,
why are you still here?
Say the...
That's going to be all for us today. Stay classy, eat trashy.
Go fast, eat trash.